All right, what's going on, everybody? We are apologize for the tardiness. Had some technical difficulties. We are here. So, welcome to another episode of the Wise Dads Podcast. I'm your host Nate Holloway, and as always, here with my man, my buddy, my brother Ted. What's up, Ted?
All good, man. All good. Had a great day. Been looking forward to this all day.
I hear that, man. That hair is always tight, man. What do you use, man? What do you put in it? Your hair always just slick, man.
I tell you, you got to promise not to make fun of me.
All right, I can't guarantee that, but
because I do have to use a hair dryer.
I
used to be.
So you sit under the hair dryer to put on your
head. Yeah, I should get one of those old school bowls to put up here. But man, my hair is so thick. If I don't spend the time, honestly, it actually will stick straight up. So I have to blow dry it to get it to go backwards, and I have to spray it, and it's a whole ordeal. I've got it down to about, maybe 7 minutes. It's not too bad.
7 minutes. Okay. I hear that. 7 minutes. All right. You do all that in 7 minutes. Okay, that's quick.
Yeah.
You got it down pat. Me, I just brush, put some sporting waves in it. Brush the beard.
Man. I know.
And I'm out.
It.
How was your day, man?
I ain't got it like that.
How was your day?
It was great, man. It was great. I actually took off midday and went on a coffee date with my wife. Lunch. We went and got. There's this new coffee place my kids actually turned me on to, called Republic Coffee in downtown Mooresville. So we just took a break middle of the day and went and got some quiche and some coffee and hung out. And then I went over to my daughter's house, hung out with her for a little bit, went to Costco, had boxing tonight before this podcast. So it was a full day.
Okay,
and I did get some work done. I did get some work done today. I promise.
Well, I'm a little lonely right now. My bride is out for work. She's at a conference work this week. So It's just me and the kids, and my mother-in-law is here. It's funny because
your wonderful mother-in-law that you were just bragging about a second ago, right?
Right. Oh yeah. Oh no, but for real, I've been having a conversation. Have this conversation with guys a lot. They be like, "Your mother-in-law coming?" So yeah, man, my mother-in-law can't come still. I'm like, man, my mother-in-law can come live with me. That's the relationship we have.
That's the way it should.
Yeah, till we start getting on each other's nerves and stuff. But we just go to separate rooms. She go to her room. It's not the guest room. It's grandma's room. So but yeah, I love my mother-in-law. But man, my day was good, man. Just corporate visits, and all that for work. But everything was good, man. Just productive day. So it's good. But tonight we're here again, once again, on Tuesday for another episode of the Wise Dads Podcast. Guys, first of all, what I like for you to do before we go any further, before we do anything, I need you to like, I need you to share, I need you to comment. We need you to do this. We need you to get more people, more dads watching, support us. We want to make this the #1 podcast in this fatherhood genre on iTunes, Spotify, wherever podcasts are. And we need you guys' help. So we need you to like it. We need to share it. And then we need you to go to iTunes once it's uploaded and rate us on iTunes. Give us all 5. So let us know while we're talking. Comment. We're live, so we need to know what you guys think. If you guys have a question in mid podcast, you want to ask us, ask away. We are here to answer it, and we're gonna answer it for you and do all we can to give you the best answer we can. We're called the Wise Dads Podcast. There's some things that we may not know, but if we don't know, we will tell you. So again, like, share, and comment on this for us. So we are the Wise Dads Podcast. We talk about all things fatherhood, and tonight we want to talk about something important for our kids, and it's the gift of quality time. The importance of spending time with your kids. I have a quote. I heard this quote said, "Love to a child is spelled Time." It's time. I know it's like with my son, if I just give him 5 minutes, he is good, and when Caleb was younger, my firstborn, he was younger, he used to monopolize all my time because he knew if he said, "Daddy, I'm gonna give it to him, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna go," because I was a new dad. But now I peep the game, kind of smart with it. But Daddy's got to do this, son. But I promise you, I'm gonna give you some time when I'm done. He know I don't break promises to him, and so what I do is I just spend time with him and to give him time. As soon as I get home, I give him some time. Then I go do what I got to do. Then I finish. I give him some time. But it's important that we spend time with our kids because it helps them. It helps them to nurture strong, lasting bonds between us and them. Would you agree to it?
100%, man. It's something too that it's important that when you spend time with your kids, it's very intentional. Excuse me, it's planned. It's not something that you just begrudgingly carve out a few minutes, because they've been pestering you all day. It's really important that you instigate, that you carve out time, that you make time, you plan, because kids know when dad is being very intentional to do things with them versus feels guilt tripped into doing something. So absolutely.
Yeah, and we just got a comment. Lester, I guess I said that wrong when I meant the fatherhood genre. I mean in the podcast niche. The
Yeah,
fatherhood niche, the fatherhood, not the father genre, but the genre on iTunes and what they call it. That's what I meant by the fatherhood genre. See, that's what I like. You correct me live. I'm gonna make the corrections live. So thanks for that, Lester. But that's what I meant. The niche on iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but and we create that bond with our kids. We create that bond, and it gives us opportunity to have deeper connections with them.
That's right.
It gives opportunity to talk to them about things. Every time my son, when he gets off the school bus, either I text him, ask him how's his day, or I'll call him and talk to him like, "How's your day, son?" And then when I get home, I ask him those things, and it creates that deeper connection. It offers growth between you and your child, and it also creates an understanding because I believe you can have understanding. You and your child get an understanding of each other. They understand where you stand with them, and you understand where they understand where they stand. I'm just tongue tied tonight. They say with each other, but that's what it is. So, Ted, what do you think are some benefits of quality time?
Some examples of quality time.
Benefits. What are some of the benefits of spending quality time with your kids?
Well, I mean, the number one benefit is that you just develop an authentic relationship with your child without having to force information out of them that you want. Right. The
Mm-hmm.
more quality time you spend with your child, the more comfortable they are to just naturally talk and vent and tell you things. Whereas if you barely get that time in or it's forced, you're going to be that dad that is basically prying to get that information out. You're having to tiptoe around certain subjects, whether it's about relationships or their time on a cell phone, if they're at that age, what they're watching, what they're listening to, you name it. When you have a close relationship where you are intentionally spending time with them one-on-one in particular, especially if you have a big family, if you got a bunch of kids, it's hard. It's harder to do. I get it. The one-on-one time gets harder and harder the more kids that you have, because you've also got a career you're trying to balance. You've got a wife that you want to maintain, that you want to keep the magic in the marriage. You don't ever want to let that go. That flame can't burn out.
Can't burn out.
It supports the kids. If you want to have kids that are happy, content, fulfilled, and feel safe and secure and have a future great marriage, you have to have a great marriage. And so you've got to try to balance all those things all at one time. And so it can be a challenge, but again, that's where you have to be so intentional. Number one benefit is the closeness that you're going to develop with your child to where they want to tell you things. My kids I've said this before, my kids all consider themselves, rightfully so, my best friends, because they are. They know when I have downtime, if I'm not here on the podcast, if I'm not at the gym, if I'm not boxing, they know my kids, I'm going to be with one of them. I'm going to be with my wife and or my kids. I'm going to be on a coffee date with one of my kids, maybe walking around looking at classic cars, maybe at the mill looking at antiques. And we don't even really care about antiques. It's not even about that. It's the time. You're walking, you got a cup of coffee, and you're talking the whole time. So that's the biggest benefit, is that closeness that you're able to maintain and foster throughout their entire relationship or their entire life with you.
And one of the things I've learned too is when it's quality time, the things you talk about, the things you teach them, the teachable moments that you have, they stick. because you're there, you're focused on them, they got your time, they got your attention, you got their time, you learn from them, you learn what's going on in their lives, and then what you're doing. Because like you said, they know when you just you're giving them bull and you're not really there. They know when you're disconnected, but you're sitting there, and they also know when you're truly engaged with them. And it gives them, the things that you're teaching, things you're talking about, it sticks. And so I was talking to my son, and at times where I have teachable moments with him where I talk about things. I'm spending time with him. When we're out, we're just riding in the car. I just have random conversations about life. And I say, son, such and such, 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 such. So some things happened at school, and we were talking about it. And I said, do you know what that is? He said, yeah, you told me. I don't remember having a conversation with him.
Yeah.
But he remembers. So the time may stick. And also one of the benefits of quality time is it fosters emotional security for the kids. They're secure in their emotion. They can talk to you when they know dad is spending quality time with me. Dad is there. Dad is present. Dad is in the moment. Dad is here. Then they're emotionally present. They're emotionally secure. They trust you with their emotions. They can talk to you about anything. They can bring anything to you. They tell you how they feel when they're sad, when they're happy. And can I get my words right tonight? Besides flipping the script where they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to spend time with you. They don't want to tell you. We're just giving you one word answers because they don't trust you. They're not secure with you because they're saying, well, you're never here to ask me how I'm doing. You're never here to spend time with me. So why do you want to know that now? And so that's what happens. And when you don't spend that quality time with them, you don't build that relationship.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when I think about the quality time with kids, and you and I've talked on this before, but this goes back to, I think, a previous discussion about really adjusting your style and your interest to the individual, right? So famously, Phil Jackson was asked that about Kobe and Shaq when he was coaching the Lakers, and he was asked about, how do you handle these big personalities? And he basically, paraphrasing, was like, simple, I treat them like individuals, right? You can't treat every athlete or every individual the same because everyone is different and your kids are different. And so on that note, I have been telling a story to my kids I was trying to think about this, in fact, before I got on here, how many years it's been. I've been telling the same story for about, let's say, 17 years. So almost every single night, unless something comes up, unless their room's not clean, I've been telling a story that started off called Herbie when my older kids, so my daughter Cameron is 24, TJ is 23, and Kaylee is 21. And Cameron is soon to be 25. But I've been telling him this story. It started off with Herbie. Do you remember the Disney movie, Herbie the Flying Car?
I'm talking Herbie the Love Bug.
Herbie the Love Bug, yeah.
Yeah,
so that was my inspiration like 17 years ago, and it's evolved because now they're grown. Cameron has kids of her own. So now I've got my two youngest girls that are 9 and 5, and the story has continued. So 17 years, it's continued now to my youngest girls, except it's evolved now to where it's called Farmer John. Long story, but it's basically all the same characters, but they started calling it Farmer John, and so it's kind of evolved. My point is, I started off just coming up with things. Like every night I would just tell them this new adventure that happened, and man, it's sometimes exhausting. I'm being honest. Like there's days that I don't want to go in there and tell them a story. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I'm just getting in. I just want to relax and be lazy. And yet I know that they look forward to that more than anything all day. Like I can get them to do just about anything. If I tell them, if I threaten them, you're not going to get the Farmer John story tonight. So that's an example of where just coming up with routines, like find out what your kids love the most and play to that. If it's, when we talk about time with dad, is it time With you, Nate, is it going and shooting basketball? Is it going to the park and just shooting around? Is it going on a walk? Is it going to look at classic cars? Is it telling them that story? But I just think that's an important part if we're talking about time with our kids is find things that you can do consistently like that. What's a story that you can tell them? It doesn't have to be the same one. It can be where you read books. I'm not saying you have to make one up, but it's that routine that kids look forward to so much. They know every night they're going to get this story, then their prayers. And in the same vein, we take them every Friday to this little country store. I think I've mentioned that. And we get them a sausage biscuit or a bacon, egg, and cheese. And we just sit on the little front porch and watch cars. Every Saturday, it's pancakes. Getting in these routines, though, is also part of spending that quality time, because the more that you do like that, routine-based, it also gives you ammunition to get them to do what you need them to do. Get that room clean, or there's no pancakes tomorrow morning. And they're like, they want to run in there and get that room clean. So there's so many benefits of having routines and having that one-on-one time and developing those relationships.
Yeah, and that's also, guys, while we're here, like I said, we're live. Show us in the comments, and I'll put up on the screen. Hit us up in the comments. Just give us some ideas of what you do to spend quality time with your kids. Some ideas of things you do. And, we may hit on a couple of them, but just let us know. Hit us in the comments. Give us some examples of how you spend quality time with your kids. And Ted, I did some research for this episode, and I was looking at it. It also said quality times builds trust, empathy, and shared joy. I like the shared joy part because it's fun for, especially when you love your kids, and you're there and engaged. It's fun for you both. I love spending time with kids. Me and Kaden, the baby, has this thing where as soon as I come home, come here, boy, come here. He take off running on his toes and dive on the couch and turn around for me to tickle him. And then I'll go and hide in the room. He'll come and find me, or and he want me to tickle him again. And so it's that, that's the thing. He looks forward to that when I come home. Yeah. When I come home, he'll look at me and he'll take off running. Look at me and take off running. Caleb has gotten older, so our quality time with things is kind of evolving. He's more on the computer, PlayStation, stuff like that. So we do PlayStation and things like that. But it's evolving. I'm seeing how it's evolving with how he wants to spend time. And, he got his friends. By the time I come home, his friends are over here, house full of boys, and they playing and stuff like that. So, but I told him, I said, you got to promise me that no matter how old you get, you can always spend time with daddy.
That's right.
And I'm trying to make it. That's why I try to give him quality time, because I want him to feel like if he ever have somebody who don't want to be his friend, he don't care because he got daddy.
Yeah.
He can come home and spend time with daddy. Do things that now I may be a little older and can't run like I used to, and those things, but he know I can go home.
Yeah.
And have the quality time I need and have that dynamic at home. So those are some of the benefits of spending quality. Another benefit too, I'm just gonna hit on this real quick. It said it reduces stress for both the parents and the children. Yeah. Now now we both got young kids, and we're both a little up there. I'm older, but I don't know if it reduce whatever. I don't get stressed, but I be tired. They wear me out. I be tired. I don't be stressed, but I be tired of running behind Kaden and stuff. But so as I was doing the research, I just pulled out a couple of things where I was doing research, and it talks about types of quality time that you spend with children. And it's like you do things like do creative activities, outdoor adventures, like you say. You take them, you go to the general store where you get pancakes. I like this one, quiet moments of conversation. Those are teachable moments where you can sit there and you're not doing a lot of things, but you can just talk. I do that with Caleb every morning when going to the bus stop. When I drive him to the bus stop, it's up the street, but I drive him to the bus stop in the morning. We sit in the car and we talk. We talk about things. I tell him how proud I am of him. If he had something happened the day before, we talk about that. He talks to me. We play and things like that. But it's those quiet times that you can really talk to your child
Yeah.
and you can really get through to them because they're listening, and those are teachable moments that you can have. And
Yeah.
it also says that each type of activity we talked about can contribute to strengthening the parent-child relationship. That's what you want to do. There's this video on Instagram, and I sent it to my wife, and it said we had just had a conversation with Caleb about it, and it said, and I'm gonna have to paraphrase it because I don't remember. It said that um, pay attention to your child's friends when they're young.
Mm.
Make sure you pay attention to their friends. And I'm putting it to this. I'm going somewhere with this. Pay attention to your child's friends while they're young, because once they hit puberty, you won't be the loudest voice in their ear. Their
Mm.
friends will. So they're gonna be with their friends. And I'm using that to say this: that spend quality time with your children while they're young. Build that routine, like you said, like you built that routine, even now to your older kids. They know. So you build that routine, spend that quality time with the young. So then when they get older, their friends are not the most important voice in their ears.
Yeah.
You are. So then if you see something that uh you don't feel is right, is good, then you can tell your child, hey, dad don't think that's the person you hang out with, and they won't be mad. Oh, dad, you just mad, especially with your daughters.
Yeah.
I tell you, you got daughters, you can understand, especially with your daughters.
Yeah.
When it comes to dating and things like that, when you have that time. Now, I don't have daughters, but Ted, I need you to hit on that a little bit. When you have time with you spend that quality time with your daughters, how that influences their decision with boys and dating when they get older.
Yeah. So, I have, I basically got out of corporate America to make sure that I could be more connected to my kids than ever. I decided to leave the corporate world, I mean, for good about 5 years ago, but it largely was driven by this passion of mine to just be a more connected dad. And I feel like I already was, that very passionate about my family kind of dad. I was never a career first ever, but I just saw where as I was getting older, I was just getting more and more disillusioned by the corporate world and wanted to be around my family more. Listen, we've schooled our kids their entire lives. And part of that is also because we wanted to be able to spend quality time with them, because I traveled a lot when they were young, back when I was in the NASCAR world and just in corporate life. And so if I didn't homeschool them, I wouldn't see them, not, days at a time, a week or more at a time. And that just wasn't okay with me, because my dad was military. So he traveled a lot. I didn't see him a lot. And I just never wanted that for my kids. So I'm giving you a long-winded answer of basically saying, with my daughter specifically, I have tried to be there virtually every step of the way, like every first step in a literal sense, every vacation, every trip, you name it. If it was possible for us to do it as a family, I was there. And girls are no different. Girls crave your attention. They crave your time as the man. What's interesting about girls, and I have seen this firsthand, not only with my girls, but I've got two sisters. But if a girl does not get positive attention from her dad, she will look for attention from men, from males, whether it's positive or negative, because
Right.
they just crave male attention. So it is so critical that a girl gets positive attention, positive love, healthy love from her dad, meaning it's okay to hug your daughter. It's okay to kiss her on the cheek still when they got to, whatever ages. It's different from everyone, right? Some would say as a toddler, others would say when they're 8, 9, whatever, you don't want to kiss your kids on the lips. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you, girls, boys, they want your time and attention. They want you to hug on them. They want you to kiss them, whether it's on the cheek, forehead. My daughters are, I just mentioned, 24, 21. I still kiss them on the cheek every time I see them. I give them a hug for at least 5 to 10 seconds. I don't do the quick little, on the back. I give them a hug and embrace them and tell them how much I love them every time I see them. And I've done that since they were little. That's my point. Girls are no different than boys. They crave that time and attention. Girls, yes, we want to be a little more gentle with. We don't want to play tackle football necessarily. Depends on the girl. It's no different than your boys. It's they crave your time, and you have to find those things that they love. And I'll give you a little clue, which you already know, with your wife, with mother-in-law. Girls, women, they want to talk, right? Your boys would be totally content to go out there and throw a football and just make grunting noises for an hour. Girls aren't like that. Their favorite thing in the world is to just walk and talk. Get a cup of coffee, a tea, and just walk and talk. Talk being the key word. So, for any dad out there that wants a better relationship, or maybe is having a girl and is like, what do I do? How do I be a great dad to this daughter? If you're not a great communicator, become one. And that starts with listening. Become a great listener. Be a great active listener, right? Meaning repeat back what you heard. When she tells you something, okay, baby, so what you're telling me is blah, 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 blah. That lets her know that you're really dialed and you're listening to her. That is the best advice I can give a dad with daughters is listen and just talk. Make sure you're a great communicator.
Yeah, we got a comment on Instagram that says if a hug doesn't last 8 seconds, it's not worth it.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
8 seconds is not worth it. And so it's like, I know you're talking about the kissing on the cheek. I kiss my boys on the forehead and stuff like that and on the cheek. But so I had Caleb at the bus stop the other day, and I went to my normal routine, grab him, hug him, kiss him on the forehead. The bus was pulling. He said, "Daddy," I said, "What?" I said, "I can't kiss you in front of your friends no more." No, so he dapped me up, gave me a hug, and got on the bus. All right, so I said, "I can't kiss you." Yes, but not in front of my friends. I was like,
"Of course, Dad, come on."
I'm like, all right, so so I dap you up in front of your friends, but that's good, and it's girls need it, boys need it, our kids need it, and you can tell the difference.
And we need it.
Yeah, we do. I need to come home, and I look and crave when I open that door to hear "Daddy" from Caleb, and then see Caleb come to me, arms wide open, on his tippy toes, running to me. I look for that. Yeah. If I don't get it, and I get a great big hug from Caleb, if I don't get it, I'll say to Caleb, "You know what you didn't do today?" He said, "Give you a great big hug." He run to me and give me a hug. Yeah. I crave that. One of the reasons I created it because I didn't have that coming up. Mm-hmm. I never knew my biological father. I mean, I had my godfather, I had father figures, but I didn't have that to come home to. Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm intentional about building that relationship with my kids. I'm intentional about giving them what they need. And so, like you said, we need it too. And so I'm just going down. So we talked about quality time and versus quantity time. Now we got people who feel like if they can't give their kids the time that they want to give them, then they don't give them time. It's not about how much time you give your kids. It's about the quality of the time. Now I'm just going down. We've been hitting on this as we've been talking. It's about the quality of the time. Like we talked earlier about being present, being there, being involved in how we can get involved with them. And I believe quality time, part of that is getting involved in things your kids like. Yeah. Getting involved with their thing. I remember when Caleb likes Minecraft. He loves Minecraft. And he was talking to me about it, and I didn't understand it. I didn't know how to play it. And I asked a friend of mine who has boys, I asked him, he's very technical. His kids are technical. Caleb is technical. And I said, how do you be involved with a technical child when I'm not that technical? Yeah. He said, go on YouTube, learn the game, and then go and play it with him. Yeah. I didn't get that deep in it, but when I started playing with Caleb and asking him to show me what to do, he loves that. Yeah. And then from that, Daddy, can you play Minecraft with me? Or Daddy, can you play Roblox with me? Daddy, can we play the PlayStation together? I remember one day I came home for work on my lunch break, and Caleb was already out of school. No, it was summertime. He was home. Keisha was in the office working. And I came in and I sat down with him and I grabbed the PlayStation remote and started playing with him. And she was like, "You just made that boy's world." Yeah. Because I sat down. He didn't have to ask me. I grabbed the other remote and I sat down. We played the game together. He was happy. That's quality time, and I was only about what 20 minutes. I
Yeah.
was there before I had to leave, but that's quality time. And time don't always have to be structured.
Mm-hmm.
It don't always have to be structured with your kids, guys. You don't always have to be okay. I need to plan this. I need to plan that. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do it this day, this time, this play, that play, this, that, that. You don't. It don't always have. Now you can do that. It's good to do it sometimes, but sometimes I think the best time is off the cuff
Mm-hmm.
and spontaneous. Like when I said my weekends go to my kids. But it's not always planned. Sometimes I plan stuff, and sometimes you be like, let's go get some ice cream. Let's go to the playground. And they be so happy.
Yeah.
You know?
It's an interesting thought, and some might think it's a little bit weird, but the older I get, the more I've thought about this one with my kids. Is I think a lot of parents, especially younger, should really stop and process, because this is a fact. They should really stop and process how important it is to build and maintain a great relationship with their children, because, if no other reason, we all are going to get to that final stage in life, right? We're all going to get to our final, year, 2 years where we're really struggling. Maybe we are blessed and we get to live into our 90s and we're fit. We're still healthy, right? That's everyone's dream. I can live to be an old man, but I'm still going to be fit and healthy. And let's pray that that's true, right? Let's pray that we're wise enough to actually take care of ourselves to where we can do that and be there for our kids and grandkids. But a great way of looking at it, Nate, in terms of the investment you're making with your kids now at this age, and sometimes it is a sacrifice like we've talked about, is because when you get to that stage, it's your children that are most likely going to be taking care of you. Now, that may not mean you're living with them in the house. I've told my kids my number one goal, and this has been true for years for me, is to make sure I have enough money put aside that when my wife and I get to that stage, we can afford private in-home health care. Because when you add up the cost of hiring someone to come in your house and take care of you when you get to that age, it is typically less, sometimes significantly less than what it costs to stay in a nursing home. But that's been my goal for years. But let's say that you can't do that, or let's say prior to that stage, just, you're starting to get to the final years, you need your kids, man. And you want your kids to love you and like you, not just respect you because you're dad. You want them to love you and like you so much that it's like, man, of course, it's not even a second thought, right? If something happens to my mom, it's not even a second thought, or her parents, they can stay here. They can stay at the house at the top of the property. Like, we know that we're going to be able to look out for them. It's just not a question. So I just want people to, especially, again, young parents, think about that. If you have a great relationship with your children, an added bonus as you get older, they're going to want to be there for you into old age. And you really are going to want that when you get older.
Yeah. Now, we're not going to glaze over that house at the top of the property now. How big is your property, Ted?
Well, so I've got a lot. It's about, I think it's just over maybe a third of an acre now.
Okay.
I've got a gravel lot at the top, and I've got a one of these expandable container homes, shipping container homes.
Oh, would you talk? Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So I've got that at the top of the property.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw you get the house at the top of the property. I know where we come visit when we want to get away.
Man. Got your little Airbnb up here.
So one of the things too that I looked at in this is overcoming the barriers of spending that quality time with your kids. Some like you said earlier, some dads work, work 9 to 5, like me. If you mean 9 to 6, you get home, you're tired. Some dads are sales, some dads are business owners, like you're an entrepreneur, but you were in corporate America. Some people, may have meetings and stuff like that, or they may not be able to go to their kids' games or things like that, like they want to. But they have to learn how to overcome that. Now, for me, how I do it is I try to set boundaries with my time.
Yeah.
Like with work, I don't where I work one weekend a month, and I try my best to make sure it's that just that one weekend a month. So I know that Saturdays I don't try to plan a whole lot
Mhm.
of things on my own on Saturdays unless it's early in the morning or unless my wife wants to do something. But other than that, I make sure that I give my kids their time on Saturdays, you know, and but that for me is setting bounds with work,
Mhm.
and things that other people, anything other business I do is either Tuesdays, Thursdays, so that during the week, Saturdays, that's family time, and you have to, guys, as fathers, we have to set those boundaries. You have to say, okay, and until you're working for yourself and you're able to say, this is I can give all the time I need or whatever, you got to be able to set boundaries. And one of the ways to do that, to overcome barriers, that barrier is you got to set boundaries. Ted, what are some ways, I know you overcome barriers of spending time with your kids? I know you got time, you can do it now. Let's go back when you were in corporate America. How did you make sure your kids got the quality time when you were working in corporate America?
Well, before I answer, it was really choppy, like the last 10 seconds. So I don't know if my connect. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Um, man, honestly, that was the toughest time for me was when I was real heavy into corporate America, and I was just so burnt out because exactly that I didn't have the extra time that I wanted to spend with my wife and my kids, and so that drove my decision to get out of that world and work for myself and really make some sacrifice. Like when I think about when I think about the life that I had 5 6 years ago, I was making substantially more than I make today. Believe it or not, working in the corporate world, huge money, but I was miserable. I was miserable. I hated it. I literally hated it. I hated the travel. I hated the travel just leaving my house and getting on 77 and getting stuck in traffic. I dreaded that every day. I dreaded getting on a plane and flying across the country. Like I didn't like any part of that. Can you hear me okay still?
I can hear you.
Okay. Um, so back in those times, though, Nate, when I did have those pockets of time, it was also very intentional that when I'm home, I'm dialed in with my kids. We're out there taking walks, we're throwing the football, we're having picnics. I mean, virtually all of my free time, if we weren't in church, was going to be at home with the kids doing something or out with the kids doing something, taking them to a park, taking them on vacation. If I had to travel, like I mentioned, I took them virtually everywhere I went. If I could, if I had a business trip, I would still take them. If I had meetings, I would try to take my wife and my kids everywhere I went. And I hate flying. So you can imagine that. Many times we were in a van driving, a 12-plus hour trip, but I would take the whole family so that we could spend even more time together. So I know everyone's not as maniacal as I am in that regard. I totally get it, but it's also a reason why I think homeschooling works so well for us, for that same reason. So I think it's important that no matter where you are in life, whether you're in corporate America, you own your own business, that you are very much cognizant of when you do have pockets of time, being intentional with your children. So if you're not home all the time, that's okay. Some of us can't do that. I get it. But when you're around them, just make sure that you are being very deliberate with the things you're doing. And again, for Caleb, it may be just going outside and throwing the football. Whereas if it's my daughter, they want to walk around the entire neighborhood and talk for 2 hours.
I can tell you, Caleb ain't going outside and throwing a football. Caleb is not outdoors. Caleb is not the sports. Caleb wants to sit inside. He's on Canva creating stuff, creating t-shirt ideas and
Awesome, man.
trying to make stuff. We got ideas for something. You want to build an Iron Man costume out of cardboard. That's Caden. Now, Caden
Wow.
likes to be outside. So the baby is going to be, I think that's going to be my sports person. That I think he's going to be my drummer that I've been wanting. But yeah, but it's that, yeah, that's them. But
Great.
this topic of spending time and spending quality time is big
Yeah.
in fatherhood, and I wanted to talk about it tonight because sometimes people don't really have the revelation of the importance of spending time. Some fathers, their fathers didn't spend time with them, so they're just doing what they know That's all they've seen. Some
Mhm.
want to know how to do it. And some don't. You got new dads that's trying to figure it out. And so we wanted to talk about it tonight, guys, to just to give some insight on spending time. And so we encourage you to just be intentional. Be intentional about creating those moments with your kids. Be intentional about giving them that time. Find ways to just give them moments. Take moments of opportunity and just give them that. If it's 15 minutes, give
Yeah.
them the 15 minutes. Put your phone down. Give them the 15 minutes. Get off the computer. It's football season. Sometimes, I pick Caden up when the game is on and set him beside me. Caleb, I set him beside me to watch the game. Because I know dad's football season is that time we engage in the game. But bring your kids in there with you.
Yeah.
Bring them into your world. Bring them into your time. Bring them in. If you're an entrepreneur, bring them in. Take them on a business trip with you, a business deal. Let them sit in your office while you're talking business, because
That's
they're
right.
going to pick that up. They're gonna learn. If they got bring your kids to work day, take them to work. Every now and then, I take my son by my job. If I'm off, that's what daddy works. Or sometimes, my wife will bring them. If she's bringing me lunch or something from working on the weekend, and they see that, bring your kids into your world.
Yeah.
That's part of giving them quality time, and and spending that time with them. I encourage you guys to do that, and I want you guys. What we want you guys to do is share your stories with us.
Mm.
Share your stories. Let us know. Hit us up if you're on Instagram. Comment if you're on Facebook. Comment if you're watching us on YouTube. Comment if you're listening to us on iTunes. Then you just got to email us. But just take this moment. Let us know what you're doing with your kids, how you spend the time with your kids, how the podcast has helped you. How spending quality time with your kids has helped you, and we like to hear from you. Ted, you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, I would just say, like anything else, it's probably going to be baby steps. If you're a brand new dad, if you're an expectant dad, especially, take baby steps. It's easy to get overwhelmed. We've talked about it before, but who I am today at 46, 47 in 2 weeks, who I am today at almost 47, and a dad that's been a dad for 25 years, very different than I was 25 years ago. Right. So I am the guy that I was talking to, I think, in our last episode, where I said some people seem like they've got it all together, they've got it all figured out, and they don't. I'm that person. I don't have it all figured out. But I'm constantly learning. But if I could go back 25 years ago and tell myself, hey, here's some great advice, I would just say, look, try to just get better every day. I'm not trying to be super dad overnight. That's great. It's a great goal, but it's not going to happen. It's going to take time, because you have to get into habits. You have to develop routines, better routines, and most likely what you experienced. And that's going to take time. So pace yourself. But the most important thing that I would leave someone with, if you want to be a great dad, is don't be selfish. Number one,
That's
you've got
good.
to be selfless. If you want to be a great dad and husband, you've got to be selfless. It's not about you. It's not about what you want to do. She doesn't want to be in there cleaning the kitchen, doing the dishes, but I can hear the dishes rattling, Nate. And she's doing that not because she's keeping score, but because she knows it needs to be done. Now, if I go out there and I see that she's putting the kids to bed, I'm not asking her. I'm not coordinating. I'm just doing the dishes. Not because she has taught me to do that. I actually saw my dad was a great example in that way. But my point is, get into these routines, baby steps. Have great routines in your home. Be a great husband. That's a great way to be a great example. Don't be selfish. Put that aside. Put your pride aside and just be present and be what they need you to be. And that is just an attentive father and husband.
That's good. That's good. And guys, cherish those moments. Take this information. Take this advice. Take this wisdom from the Wise Dads podcast, and implement it. Try it. But most importantly, be intentional. Like I said before, be engaged and be present, and give your kids the time that they need and the time they want. But again, guys, I need you guys to do something for us like this. Share it. comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want us to talk about. But share this with other people, and let us know what you think about the podcast. Also, if you have any questions, if you want us to anything you want us to talk about, just email us at the wisedadspodcast@gmail.com. We're here to answer your questions. We'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. But let us know if you want us to talk about a certain topic. If you got some things that you want to know, question you didn't want to ask on the air, you want to ask us privately, hit us up. Let us know. We will answer for it. And if we don't have the answer, we have a slew, a plethora. What is going on tonight?
Man, you were so close.
So
a bunch.
Yeah, of dads who I don't know what's going on with my words tonight. Who we can get the answers from when we go to. We have a crew that we go to. The crew is going to be up here. We're going to do an episode with the crew coming soon. But guys, we just thank you for joining us. Coming soon, we got some different topics coming up for you guys. We're going to be talking about. We got an episode coming. I don't know exactly when, but we're going to talk about dads of children with autism. We got a guest that's going to be talking about that, and that's going to be a good topic. We got so many good topics coming for you guys. But guys, thank you again for tuning in to the Wise Dads podcast. We appreciate you. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and just help us spread this word. Help us to make, like I said before, help us to make this a #1 podcast in this niche on iTunes. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know what happened. I went out, but
I just thought you were kicking me off.
Yeah, here we go. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Wise Dads podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode and found some nuggets of wisdom or humor that resonates with your own parenting journey. Remember, no matter where you are in your fatherhood adventure, you're not alone. We're all in this together, learning and growing along the way. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us keep bringing you the best content. And be sure to follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes glimpses, and more stories from the dad community. Guys, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep being the amazing dads you are. Here's some more laughter, love, and unforgettable moments on your fatherhood journey. Be victorious.